Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. And here are our top stories. What the new COVID relief bill includes for student loan forgiveness and why financial advisors need to talk about student loan debt. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Betsy Mayotte. She's the founder and president of the Institute of Student Loan Advisors. Betsy, great to see you as always. Thanks so much for joining us on the program today.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about student loan forgiveness. Let's first talk, I guess, about the COVID relief bill, the American Rescue Plan. And it really didn't include what some people wanted, which was some level, some prescription of a fixed student loan forgiveness. What's your take on this?
So we knew going in that this bill wasn't going to contain any type of broad student loan forgiveness, but what was a pleasant surprise is the bill did include a provision that temporarily eliminates the tax bill that is associated with a lot of current student loan forgiveness plans, specifically the income-driven plans. Now, they get rid of the tax liability only through 2025, which is the end of Biden's, at least this term. And so a lot of people think that was put into place to make it easier for Biden or for Congress to do some sort of broad student loan forgiveness, maybe in the next stimulus bill. However, what made me really happy about it is oftentimes it's easier for Congress to extend an existing provision than it is for them to create one whole cloth, so to speak. So even though there's not a lot of borrowers eligible for forgiveness under the income-driven plans yet, because of when these programs started, I have high hopes that this provision will be extended at some point permanently, which will be a huge relief to borrowers that are pursuing forgiveness under these plans.
Betsy, these income-driven plans, can you give a little bit more detail about what they are? And because I would assume that if they took a loan, they would know what these income-driven plans are. And it seems to make sense from a naming nomenclature, but what exactly are they and how do you qualify?
Really good question. So these are programs that are available only on federal student loans. And the type of federal student loan you have will dictate which of these programs that you're eligible for. It can be a little confusing. There's actually 7 different income-driven plans, and they're all exactly the same except where they're different. But in general, they base your payment, instead of off your balance, they base your payment off of your discretionary income, which is defined as your adjusted gross income minus an allowance based on your family size and what state you live in. And then your payment's either 10 or 15% off of whatever that discretionary income is. After either 20 or 25 years, again, depending on the plan, they forgive the balance, if there is a balance to forgive at that point.
So this would be attractive, and typically when you have a regular student loan, a conventional student loan, like any loan, I would imagine there's an amortization schedule. That amortization schedule has a fixed payment. This actually brings in what you're earning so that you're not taking a larger percentage of your income and going to student loan debt. So you're able to pay for things like housing, food, shelter, all the other things necessities that you may have in life.
Exactly. What's really nice about these plans is they keep the loan payments affordable, but also you have a light at the end of the tunnel. You know that regardless of what your earnings are over time, that at some point that student loan debt is going to be gone, either because you've paid it in full or because of this forgiveness provision.
Now, I was reading a stat in an article that said that the average student loan debt bill, or I guess per month, is $400. That is if that's true, and again, I don't know exactly where that came from, but it was a reputable source, meaning an article. That's a significant amount of money, especially if you were 22, 23, 24 years old. That could be a car payment. That could be a big part, a fifth or a third of your rental payment if you're renting an apartment.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The average student loan debt on a national level is around, it's between 29 and 32,000. And excuse me, back of the napkin, we usually assume around $125 a month for every 10 grand that you borrow. So $400 a month average sounds about right. And again, and you're right, $400 can be a big chunk of change, especially if you're a recent graduate. Or on the other end of the spectrum, what if you just retired and now you have a fixed income? So these income-driven plans can be a real lifesaver, again, to ensure that the loans are affordable, but that you can still pursue your other financial necessities and goals. But again, making sure there is still a light at the end of the tunnel, and you know the loan will be paid in full in some way at some point.
Yeah, and I think this is obviously a big issue. There's 1.6 to 2 trillion, depending on what source you're looking at, of outstanding student loan debt. And you mentioned, maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel down in the future in terms of future legislation. What exactly are you hearing from your sources in terms of, is it student loan forgiveness? Is it capping interest rates? Is it some of these other fixed payment plans, FPPs that that are kind of coming down the pike, that people are thinking about in Congress to try to alleviate some of this duress that is being caused by these outstanding payments?
So obviously the talk about broad student loan forgiveness has been really hot lately, and right now it's sort of boiled down to whether or not Biden has the authority under executive order to do broad student loan forgiveness. He's stated pretty clearly that while he's very supportive of broad student loan forgiveness, he doesn't feel, at least at this point, that he does have the authority under executive order. So look, we're probably looking at Congress to maybe do that. Now, what I don't think it's a slam dunk, even though the Democrats hold all three branches of office. It's kind of a controversial proposal in that does it make sense to spend taxpayer dollars on forgiving student loan debt if it's just going to accrue again? So my expectation is that we may see some more conversations about this over the summer when they're starting to issue proposals for the next reconciliation bill, and that it will include some of Biden's other proposals that he made during his campaign, which include free community college for low income, debt-free public college for low and middle class. So in other words, the best chance I see of this moving forward is if it's a package deal that also addresses the real problem. The problem isn't the student loan debt. And I've said this to you before, Jeff. The problem is the cost of education. So if this is going to move forward, I just see it being part of a package deal that also addresses the actual problem, which is the cost of education. Now, what's interesting is that in my conversations with borrowers, I was a little surprised by the reaction of all this talk. And the reaction was, listen, if someone offered me student loan forgiveness, part or whole, I certainly would take it. But what I would prefer would be a permanent reduction in the interest rates. I want to pay my loans back. I feel like it's my obligation, but the interest rates are making it feel like a not level playing field. And that would provide the most relief. So it's an interesting concept. And that proposal, I shouldn't even call it a proposal, but that conversation is starting to gain a little more traction. So this is definitely going to be something to watch.
Yeah, this is a big issue, and for a lot of people, and will be, as long as people are going to school. As you said, the cost of school, astronomical, and how you pay for it for a lot of people is taking out loans. Betsy, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Betsy about why advisors should be talking to their clients about student loan debt. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Betsy Mayotte of the Institute of Student Loan Advisors. Betsy, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Oh yeah, of course.
So from, student debt, loan debt reform and some of the legislative actions, let's talk about what advisors should be thinking about, because this student loan debt is something that all financial advisors, in my opinion, I think in the opinion of others, and presumably yours as well, but you're going to tell us in a second, this is something that when you're planning long-term for a client, you need to think about what they're going to look like in the future, meaning their financial obligations, including student loan debt. And I know you're launching a boot camp from the Institute of Student Loan Advisors as your cat goes by to help advisors learn more about how to do this. So what can you tell us here?
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting phenomenon. I think up until recently, most financial planners or wealth management experts didn't really pay much attention to student loans because their clients student loan debt didn't tend to be an issue for their clients. But what I'm seeing, especially over the last 3, 4, 5 years, is more and more financial planners and wealth management experts have been approaching me and organizations like mine looking for help because they are seeing more and more clients where student debt is an issue, whether it's their own student debt or they're concerned about their children's student loan debt, or maybe they took out Parent Plus loans. And that's sort of, if you look at the data, it makes sense. These days, the average student loan borrower is a lot older than what we saw traditionally. I may have given you this data before, but half of all student loan borrowers are over the age of 30, a quarter are over 45, and the fastest growing population with student loan debt are the over 65s. So it's becoming more and more crucial for people that help other people with their finances to either have a resource or have a knowledge about student loan debt. So what we ended up doing is I created a student loan counseling boot camp, and it's a 3-day program, 3 hours a day. So it's no joke. It's 9 hours of pretty intense training, but users walk away with everything they would need to know to answer 99% of the questions they would ever get from a client about student loans. So we created one specifically for financial planners and wealth management experts. We're offering it April 24th, 25th, and 26th. So 3 hours a day over those. And there goes the cat again.
Yeah, that's okay. She's interested. That's fine.
Yep, she's my She's my right hand. But so yeah, we're offering the course for 3 hours a day over 3 days. It's certified for continuing ed credits, so financial planners can get their continuing ed credits as well. And it's a really small class on purpose because I want to keep it interactive. We do a lot of case studies and so on.
Yeah, and this seems to me with the mounting debt over the years, this seems like it's a long time coming, but really, really necessary. And if you're a financial planner watching the program or listening, and you're not tackling student loan debt, Betsy, I mean, many clients, as you said, there are many people of all age ranges that are inflicted, for lack of a better term, with student loan debt. And so it's incumbent upon, if you want to have a successful financial practice, advisory practice, you're going to be tackling important financial issues like student loan debt.
Student loan debt is becoming a big factor for retirement, whether it's people trying to save for retirement or people that are already retired. I get emails every day from borrowers that, maybe it's debt they took out for their kids, or, the 2008 recession is a big reason why student loan borrowers are trending older, because a lot of people went back to school and took on student loan debt in their 30s, 40s, even 50s. So it definitely, anyone who wants to provide a holistic package or a holistic set of tools for their clients really does need to be educated about student loan debt and the options available to their clients.
Yeah. I mean, and are you seeing? I mean, obviously you're going to get a lot of traction, a lot of people coming to your event online. I'm assuming it's virtual, but are you seeing people actually build out practices within their financial advisory practice where they've got specialists that maybe you have trained to learn about all the, because there are a number of programs. I mean, you said in the last segment there were like over 7 income-driven plans with nuanced differences. I have to think that there were tens, if not dozens more of different programs. So are you seeing financial advisors actually build a practice of student loan advisory too?
I'm seeing a couple things. I'm seeing some advisors that want to be educated about the programs themselves so they themselves can offer the holistic advice. I'm also seeing other organizations that are partnering with, say, someone like me or my organization, so they know they have a safe place to send their clients who have student loan issues. But it's becoming a lot more prevalent where they want to be able to offer the tools themselves, for sure.
Yeah, and are you seeing organizations in terms of your partnership like the CFP board and other financial accreditation saying we need to have more learning around student loans? This is such an epidemic, for lack of a better term, which is a weird word to say in the midst of a pandemic, but it is an epidemic of sorts that we need to include this in our curricula in CFP, in the CFP world, the CFA world, and other places.
For sure. In fact, my calendar is starting to get. We do a lot of webinars and speak at a lot of conferences already, but I'm getting a lot more invitations for conferences to speak at conferences for financial planners. Then just in the last year, I would say those particular types of audiences has more than doubled on my calendar.
Yeah, and as you said, as people are getting older, having student loan debt, maybe they're hit by the taxation that you mentioned, although there's some relief there with the COVID relief bill. I think this is only going to grow larger and larger. It's good that you and the Institute are really launching a boot camp here to help people learn, evolve, develop, and grow. Betsy, we're going to have to leave it there. Really interesting segment. Lots to talk about on student loans, fortunately and unfortunately. Betsy Mayock, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program today.
Thanks for having me again.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, then drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse, and our website. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited? And do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.